Well, the Sydney Heritage Fleet began its life as the Sydney Maritime Museum in 1965. The then Maritime Services Board owned a splendid launch built in 1904 called the Lady Hopeton, and they were getting rid of it. It had served 60 years in Sydney Harbour, and half a dozen fellows, young Sydney men, thought it was a tragedy that this boat should be scrapped, and so they pitched together several £100 each and bought it, and then began to restore it. And in fact, you will have seen it sitting down at the wharf when you walked around this morning. So that was the beginning. And then over time, that group gathered more people together, and we purchased the Waratah, which is a wooden tug, also built in 1904. And over the decades, various other craft have been added to the collection, now trading as the Sydney Heritage Fleet.
How do you fund the operation?
We attempt to be self-funding, and we charge for the trips we take people on. We charge for visitors to walk around James Craig, etc. But the facts are, we probably never raise more than 75% of our costs by the generated income. So the rest has to be found from sponsors and running competitions and such, and just general fundraising.
How would you describe the social benefit or social return to society?
There's a range of social returns. I guess the principal one, defined in our constitution, is that we believe very strongly in retaining maritime history. This is a nation, or the modern nation, was founded from the sea and depended then and now on maritime trade for its survival. Now, our vessels are in a way, part of that history, and we think we contribute considerably to, say, educating school children. We have a lot of school children visit, and they learn about what life was like 100 years ago on our harbour and in our surrounding sea. Other social benefits, we run programs for high school children, local high school children, and teach them some of the skills that they wouldn't otherwise get in their classroom. Teach them how to sail, teach them how to survive falling out of a boat, practical things like that, out of which, for instance, we have achieved one young lad is now an apprentice shipwright, started with that program, but others simply learn to treasure Sydney Harbour and its history.
And what about the social benefits for the people that work here?
Yeah, well, there's a range of social benefits. Many of our volunteers in this yard and elsewhere in the fleet are retirees, and so we provide them with an avenue for either retaining their skills or learning new skills. The comradeship that they make with the other men and women, and you might say it's simply getting them out of the house for 2 or 3 days a week rather than sitting watching television or reading the magazine.